Well, this podcast is powered by Lindsey Associates. Welcome to Varsity Vibes. We got a big guest today. Just late breaking news here the last couple of days. New head coach at El Dorado for the El Dorado Wildcats, Brett Shockley. Coach, welcome. Talk to us a little bit about the process. You've been in college football for almost 25, 30
Yeah,
years
yeah, 25 years.
and making that jump. Talk to
Yeah.
us a little bit about the process. El Dorado's got great tradition, one of the best jobs in the state of Arkansas. Talk to us a little bit about the process and how this all went down.
Well, first off, thank y'all for having me on. I really appreciate it. And it was definitely a God thing getting on here. I mean, getting on at El Dorado, and he opened a lot of doors there. Definitely wasn't something that was on my radar when it first popped open. And then I got a few phone calls about it and got some talking about it, and really just started piquing my interest right there, and kept having a little urge there and urge there. And of course, El Dorado is a job that, I mean, it's always special. Like you just said, I mean, 10 state championships, 12 conference championships down there. Recruited it my whole career. I've been recruiting El Dorado since 2005. I've been recruiting El Dorado. So seen a lot of it from way back when you were down there even. And so that's a long time ago. And of course, going all the way back playing there when I was in high school and Coach Register was playing when coaching there. And so definitely been down there, and they've put out a lot of players. They've got a lot of great athletes, a lot of great tradition. And I'll tell you what, that's one of the last few towns when you go recruit, the home sideline, the home stands are always packed. The home stands are always crowded. That town loves football. It is a football first town. And that's exciting. That's exciting to be something like that, be a part of something like that. And the doors just opened for me, and it was really nice. And going down there, great people. When I went down there and interviewed Mr. Tucker, Miss Powell, Coach Jacobs, a lot of great people down there involved in the program, and that coaching staff there's got a lot of people that have been loyal to the program, and great assistant coaches too. And so it was an easy job and kind of a no brainer when it came down to it. I'd say no brainer. It's not a no brainer when you've been somewhere 20 years to
Yeah.
leave, but it was definitely, it's a great time and a great place to be.
Well, it is, and they've had great tradition. Let's talk about the 6A East and a little bit about 6A a little bit, and what you know
Yeah.
because you've recruited it. You know,
Okay.
with the departure of Greenwood and Shiloh, who've kind of dominated really especially the last 2 years, them getting out of there. You know,
Yep.
El Dorado's been in the mix. They know how to get to War Memorial Stadium. You
There's
know,
no doubt.
what little things do you think? I know you hadn't been there long enough to know, but things to get them. They played Shiloh last year in playoffs, real
Yeah.
as good as
I mean,
anybody.
the
Yeah,
fourth and two conversion right there on the
yeah.
end of the game. They missed a tackle in the backfield that would have had stopped fourth and two, probably going to win the game, and had a 4th and 5 early on in the red zone or down there in the red zone goal line where if they hit that. Uh, they're probably winning that game right there and knocking Shiloh off. And we all saw what they ended up doing to Greenwood in the stamp championship game. So they're right there and got a lot. I'll tell you what, met the guys yesterday. Really don't know many of them, but I knew some of them through recruiting and that kind of deal. And the junior class I know was definitely loaded, and the senior class has got a lot of good players in it. And there's some huge linemen in it. So I was seeing some 6'3", 6'4". Of course, I look down on about everybody except Bray, and so it's one of those things where even if they're 6'4", 6'3", they're still big old linemen. Yeah, you
Hmm.
know how it goes. If I'm looking them eye to eye, they're massive, and so it's one of those things to where looking at them right there, had a lot of good linemen, a lot of good. Of course, always skill kids. That's what El Dorado is always going to have: is skill guys and athletes, and that's the beauty of it. And 6A East, just talking about it. I mean, I'm sitting there going through it. We are laughing this morning around here at the schedule. I mean, I got Tyler George up at Jonesboro, who I recruited, coached, helped him up there with Jonesboro, getting back into coaching. Sitting there with the Harrises at Benton, who, of course, know Drew, Coach Drew
Oh, yeah.
forever here, and know Brad. And I mean, it's just yeah, of course, Kevin Kelly over at Sheridan. We've had his boy playing for us. I mean, it's kind of a who's who sitting there looking at the whole Mark Kelly G8 here back in '09 and 10. And so, I mean, all those guys I know in that 6A East conference. So it's kind of just going back like a reunion before every game, seeing all them guys. It's kind of
You're exactly right, and I will say that that league, the coaching is really really good, and
oh,
it's
phenomenal,
and the
phenomenal.
players. Well, let's get into you. So
Yeah,
everybody knows Brett Shockley. I mean, it don't matter where you go. I mean, what part of the state or where you're at. A lot of times, just around the country,
yeah.
people know who you are. Let's go back a little bit. You're from Conway. You played for Kenny Smith, and I know your parents were mean the world to you. Your dad,
Oh
I
yeah,
remember you playing at Arkansas, and I'd see your dad all the time. Used to love talking to him.
yeah.
Talk to us a little bit, your foundation there at Conway with Coach Smith and just your family and
Well,
kind of go through that experience.
biggest thing, playing for Kenny Smith was phenomenal. I still remember sitting there as a seventh grader over at the middle school and him coming in talking to the seventh graders, holding up a state championship 1996 shirt or 90, whatever year that was. I still remember that blue shirt, him holding that up. And I mean, he got the kids from a young age to buy in and bleed Conway blue. I mean, and he always said there was only one Wampus cat and that kind of thing. And I mean, and he got us to buy in. I can tell you right now, anybody that played for him would run through a wall for him. And love Coach Smith. Still talk to him to this day. Still, I mean, he's one of the first ones to call and congratulate me and talk to me. And we've talked a bunch and throughout just over the years, him coming down here. And then, of course, my parents, they've been a great impact on me. My mom still lives there in Conway. Dad passed away in 12, but he was at every game, every practice. And they were phenomenal impact. They drove me camps and drove me typical great football parents and athletic parents that did what you had to do. And I still remember my mom. I was in about 6 or 7. I was 6 or 7 years old playing outfield and dropped like two balls. Sat out there crying, and she told me, I mean, she goes, "Not ever going to do this again." She goes, "You're either going to not play or you're going to get your butt out there in the backyard and get better. But I'm not going to watch that again." And so, just kind of a mentality with her that you gotta, I mean, you gotta get better. You gotta go out to work. Don't sit there and dwell on the bad. Don't sit there and dwell on anything else. You had a bad game, but you better get your tail better. And I mean, a lot of pushing from her and seeing her and my dad constantly, always willing to play catch. He worked nights. I mean, that's why I'm a huge Cubs fan because he worked nights and get home from school at 2:30 in the afternoon. The Cubs were always on during the
Yeah.
back then. Now these young guys, the Jeffs, they don't know nothing about the
No,
Cubs
Harry Carey,
night.
man.
Me,
Harry
me and
Carey
you
was leading
remember,
the way, man.
yeah, Harry Carey, and I mean, me and you remember him leading. Me and you remember him having no lights, so it
Yes.
was I was watching that. But I always had time to play catch. I always had time to work with them, so they were great and been supportive. Of course, my mom still comes down here to almost every game she can make it to, and she's at a lot of them. And then so they've been phenomenal throughout everything, and then went on up to Arkansas in '96 and played under Coach Ford for 2 years, and then Coach Nutt for three. Learned a lot from both of them. I still talk to both of them, and talked to Coach Nutt about 2 weeks ago, and talked to Coach Ford probably about a month or two ago, and they both made a great impact on me right there, and just different ways of motivating. People thought Coach Ford wasn't a motivator. He was. He was just different with it. And Coach Nutt, everybody knows what kind of motivator he is. And so went on from there and stayed at Arkansas those 5 years. Of course, got to know pretty much every coach in the state, it seemed like.
Well, and you played for, Mike Bender, legendary
Yeah.
line coach, and you played
Oh,
for, Coach Markinson too.
yeah.
Talk to us a little bit. Those guys had a lot of influence on you
They
too.
did. Of course, Coach Bender, I loved Coach Bender. Lewis Campbell recruited me out of up there, and Lewis is a Hamburg guy, South Arkansas guy. Still stay in touch with him, and of course his son Shep and Stedman. I tried to get one of them to come down there with me already, and he said he couldn't do it. But and then, of course, Coach Bender, I love Coach Bender. Loved Coach Bender to death. He's strong down there. Was actually a head coach at El Dorado back in
Mhm.
the late 70s, and then was AD there in the 2000s with Coach Reed and stuff when Coach Reed was on that run there in the mid 2000s. And Coach Bender's been a huge impact on me. I still got VHS tapes. When he got out of coaching, he gave me a bunch of his VHS tapes, and I've gotten all those still, and I got to figure out a way to. I can probably get Bray to help me get
There
those
you go. Get Bray
on the
working on
computer.
it.
Get Bray working on getting those to computer or something. I don't nobody have a VCR anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Well, after you get through playing, and I remember me and you kind of got to know each other when you were playing in Arkansas because I spent a lot
Yeah.
of time as I was the first, second year coach down there with the line guys, and I'd
Oh yeah.
talk to you about drills and things. You go on to Arkansas Tech for a little while there with Coach Mullins, and A lot of great assistants there too
Oh,
at the time. Talk to us a little bit about your experience there at Tech before you went to
well,
Washington.
Tech was great for me. It showed me how a coach should be, and I mean, really started showing me how coaching is, and got me into the coaching. I appreciate Coach Mullins. I was a young, stupid coach back then. People that know me, you do, and I mean, we're not going to go into all that, but definitely Coach Mullins put up with a lot from me, probably more than he should have. But he definitely helped me out a ton in coaching and in my career and teaching me how to do it. And so did guys like Todd Cooley. I mean, Dave Wheeler, Billy Dawson, those guys. I mean, I owe them a ton. Still talk to all three of them, and going into this job, kind of advice
Yeah.
from them. I mean, those guys are guys that Wheeler just left Russellville. Billy, of course, everybody knows he's been all over the state, and wherever the athletes are, he went and coached. And so definitely I listening to them, talking to them. And then another one that I worked there with that really has helped me right now in these past few months is Cody McNabb.
Yeah.
Cody being there at Morrilton, Cody's been phenomenal help, and just really kind of guiding me through what to do there and how to go about some things, and already picking his brain. And he was a great one for us too. And Tech was a great place. We finished up there 11-2 and went on to Hutch JUCO for a year and a half and out in Kansas, and that was the coldest, windiest place I've ever lived. And it was
Yes.
definitely different. Yeah, it was
I
flat.
know.
That wind never quit
No.
blowing, but it was
Well,
a different experience.
well, you after Hutch, you go to Ouachita there,
Yeah,
and you're there for a long time. I mean, and Coach Knight, and really you're a part of that deal. Really, that program, going in the GAC and was it Gulf South
yeah,
Lone Star and all that deal, and you're part of that transition and really getting that program turned to national power.
yeah.
And we're there. Talk to us a little bit about that process of you guys middle of the
Well,
pack when you're getting there and getting that thing turned around. You're playing conference championships every year.
it's funny how I got the job at Ouachita. I interviewed for it when I took the Hutch job, and I interviewed for Hutch and Ouachita. And Coach Knight, the guy from Hutch, called and offered me the job 2 days later. Coach Knight called about 3 weeks later and offered me the job. I was like, Coach, I've already accepted with this guy, and I promised him I'd be here at least a year. If you ever have it open again, though, holler back at me. Because I'd already been out in Hutch through the winter and knew I didn't want to stay there through another winter unless I had to. And the place is cold.
Oh, it
Man,
is. And that
man, it's
wind's
cold.
brutal, man.
Cold out there. Anyhow, but and so a year and a half later, over the summer, I was back home. My dad had a heart attack, and I was back home visiting them and seeing him in the hospital. And I got a phone call. Cooley had been blowing. I went out and I had my phone off, and Cooley, my old flip phone back then, you know
Yeah.
how it is, and had the old flip phone, had it off, and Cooley had been trying to blow me up. He's like, "Hey, do you want the job at Washington?" I go, "I didn't know it was open. Well, it just opened yesterday. Are you able to come in and interview?" And I go, "Yeah, I'm in Arkansas right now. I can come down tomorrow morning." Well, the next day I come down and interview, and he offers me a job that day. And of course, I take it and drive back out to Hutch, pack everything up in the truck, and move back here. And so I've been here since '06. Took that job in June, would have been like June 30th of '06. And so I've been here almost right at 20 years now. And it's a blessing in college football. Of course, Coach Knight's been here 26 years,
Yeah.
and it's a testament to him and what the program's done. It starts at the top, David Sharp, and then Coach Knight, and then Dr. Rex Horn. Can't talk about our success without Dr. Horn. And phenomenal. He was the president here. He took over as the president, and he did some things. I remember sitting in that office in our staff room on a Sunday afternoon after we went 2-8. We're all sitting there around the staff room. Are we getting? Coach Knight had a meeting with the president. And we're like, are we getting fired? Are we staying here? We're packing boxes. What are we doing the
Yeah.
rest of the day? And Dr. Horn came in there and said, "Okay, man, me and Coach Knight have talked. We're going to do some things to give you all what you need to win, and we're going to get this thing rolling." And sure enough, it started rolling. And that next year, in '07, we went 4-0, and then lost the next six. But we learned we can win. And then that next year, we went 7-3, and that was the first winning season in '08, and we hadn't quit winning since. And it's been great being here with Coach Derb, been here with Jay Derby and Todd Knight. Those two have been great. I told Coach Knight the other day, me and him, it's bigger than football. I
Yeah.
mean, the relationship we have. I told him, I've been with him longer than I was with my parents.
Yeah.
I left to go to Arkansas. I was 17 years old. I've been here 20 years. I mean, he grew me up as a coach. He helped grow me up as a man, helped grow me up as a husband. I mean, bless my wife's heart. I met my wife here, and bless her heart, those first 2 or 3 years, boy, she put up with a lot of stuff because we were trying to build this thing, and we'd take the credit card and we'd go out recruiting for 3 or 4 weeks at a time and wouldn't come home, or come home on a Sunday or Saturday night and be dead tired and leave out on a Sunday night. And there
Yeah.
was only about 4 or 5 of us on the staff, and it was, hey, go to Houston today and go to Fayetteville tomorrow and go to uh, Salem or Gosnell or somewhere the next day, and be in McGee that next day, and it'd be in Dallas after that. And so it was just a lot of driving, a lot of time. And bless her heart, she kept the house rolling and she kept things going, kept clothes washed on the weekend. And she was a phenomenal coach's wife, and couldn't have done anything without her. And so definitely got to throw that shout out to her. But with Coach and me, it's been great. I mean, we both, it's bigger than football there, and a lot bigger with Derb, with him. It's we've raised each other's kids. I've seen his kids. When I got here, Derby's daughter was in diapers, and now she's a junior in college. And
Wow.
so it's one of those things that you look around, and you're like, holy cow, man! I've been here a long time, and it doesn't even seem like that. That's been great about it.
Well, like you said, you've been there a long time and taking this challenge. What, you got to get ready for spring ball and stuff. I
Yeah.
know you're still doing spring ball a little bit there at Ouachita, finishing up and that doing some double duty. And people
Yeah.
don't understand how that works, but it works.
Oh
And,
yeah.
uh, and that part of it. What's your spring ball looking like? I know this is your summer and coming from college to high school, you're going to have your hands on them a lot more than
It's amazing.
yeah.
I mean, I'm sitting there. We come from the school where, I mean, we get 19 to 20 practices with our kids before the first game. And I don't know if people
Mhm.
know this, but in the GAC, it's 11 straight conference games.
Yeah.
So you don't have the 3 non-conference games or a tune-up game or anything like that. I mean, depending on how the schedule shakes, I mean, there's one year in 19, us and Harding kicked it off right from the start, the first
Yeah.
game. And I mean, that's a conference championship game right there. And so you better be ready to go. And you don't have a lot of time with athletes in college. And now I'm looking at the schedule in high school, and I'm like, man, how do we ever have a missed assignment?
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, sitting here looking at everything, seeing all the time we get with those
Yeah.
kids, it's pretty amazing to me. And I think that is the thing. People are saying, you got to get this done, you got to get that done. I'm like, we got time. We're going to be
Yeah.
okay. We got some time. We're going to be all right. Let's not. I think that's going to be the biggest part of it. The number one change for me so far already is scheduling.
Yeah.
Like as a college coach, if you want to meet with your staff, they got to be there tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. Be in the
Yeah.
staff room. We're having our first staff meeting. Well, like yesterday, I'm trying to, okay, when can this coach meet? When can that? I mean, when do I get them all together and that kind of deal? How to hold a staff meeting and that sort of thing. You got to, and you know what, you've done it for years. You got, and El Dorado is a phenomenal place, and they have
Mhm.
done it is set up great for the coaches. They have done a great job of making sure I'm gonna have that time with the coaches. The coaches aren't burnt out by the end of the day by the time they get to practice, and they do a really good job of the administration does really setting us up right there for success. But
There's
it's go
there's
ahead.
no doubt, and you just nailed it. People, you got guys teaching algebra, 2 or 3 hours
Oh
a day, or doing this
yeah,
and getting everybody together collectively. You either got to do it before or after a lot of times, and that's just part of the process. What are you coming into? I mean, El Dorado as well as anybody. You've recruited it and been around it and studied it. And it's not the first time somebody gave you a phone call about being a head coach. I mean,
no, it's it's
it's
not.
happened quite a bit. But
It's not.
when you got that phone call from those guys, and El Dorado is, I think it's, and I was there for 8 years. It's one of the
Yeah.
premier high school football towns, and maybe the best in the state, one of the best in the state. Is what really intrigued you to that one? Because I know people have tugged at you
Yeah.
before.
Well, again, like I said, it's a football town. I always said if I do go coach high school, I want to go somewhere where, of course, they got players. That's any coach. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter how good of a coach you are. Those X's and O's. they don't matter. It's the Jimmies and Joes that matter right there. And so being out there, knowing what El Dorado is, even their down years are a lot of people's up years.
Yeah.
And so always going to have athletes and always have great diversity in the town. That town's always going to support it, and they're always going to be behind you right there on Friday night. And there's something special about running out on Friday night and those stands being full.
Mhm.
There's something to be said for that for those kids, and those kids know that. I mean, it is the horse that drives the cart down there, and I mean it is the big thing, and that's not a knock on any other sport, but we all know that. And those stands are packed, and they've got a beautiful facility there, and of course, just having the brand new pavilion there,
Yeah.
and that makes it really nice right there. Just a lot of things have been set up. I mean, that new Coliseum, having that new gym there, it shows athletes, hey, we're here for you. We're here to make you better, and we're here, and they understand that having great athletics means great academics too, and they both come hand in hand, and that's a big part of it. But to El Dorado, that's a second home for me down there. We've got a farm over in Bradley County. We're about 30 minutes from the farm right there, and that I've got family in El Dorado, I always have, and right there, and it's not far. It's right across Morro Bay to get to Hermitage, and so we're right there next to each other now, and I've got family there in El Dorado, and I've always been going to El Dorado, and I've seen the town grow. I've seen it grow up from what it was 20, 30, 40 years ago to what it is now. And it's a special place. And I always liked the lower Arkansas area. I know that's God's country down there. I mean, people might argue with me, but that is God's country down there. And so I love that lower Arkansas area and always have.
Well, good deal. Well, Coach, we appreciate you. Your busy schedule, doing two jobs right now, running a little spring practice at Ouachita, being the head coach at El Dorado. We appreciate you taking a few minutes and taking time with us. I'm extremely excited. Guy that coached there and always follow that program. They got the right guy, and you're going to do amazing things. And we'll have you on during the season and be checking your work.
Definitely. Well, I'm fired up to be a Wildcat. I'm fired up to lead the Wildcat program. I'm excited to get with those kids. It was great seeing them in there. Of course, Coach Hill did a great job leaving there. Those kids in the weight room yesterday, just watching them. He left it there. It's not one, and I'll tell you this: it's not one stepping in. You know, there's not a lot of rebuilding.
Yeah.
There's not. I mean, it's stepping in and you just keep it rolling and improve some things and tweak a thing here or there. That's what's nice about it too. You're not having to go in and gut a program or do anything like that. You're getting to go in and tweak some things, put your stamp on some things. But at the same time, it's those kids understand hard work, and that community understands hard work, and it is a blue collar community, which I like too. That they understand it's time to get to work, and we're going to go out and we're going to fight. That's the biggest thing. We're going to fight with it. And I appreciate y'all having me on.
All righty, buddy. Well, we'll be seeing you down the road. Thanks for coming on, Coach Shock.
Hey, appreciate it, man. See you,
See you,
brother.
buddy.